The other day someone asked me, is 20,000 Swift coin good enough? Now, I cannot answer that question on anyone's behalf, and nothing I say is financial advice. I can only speak on my behalf, but personally speaking, right? If I were to take a look at that, I wouldn't find that too disappointing because, hypothetically, let's say for whatever reason, Swift coin maybe went to the price of 50 cents, which is around a 58x from here, but at that point, 20,000 Swift coin would in that case, I should say, hypothetically be worth 10,000 because 20,000 times 50 cents, 10,000. But then, sometimes people like to say, okay, why would you care about that? Well, to me, if let's say for whatever reason in another make-believe scenario, I saved 50% of that, so 5,000, use that for the next cycle, and for whatever reason, during the next cycle, maybe it does a 10x, so then it becomes 50 grand. It's not something I would find that disappointing considering how if let's say that's not the only thing I'm holding. But even besides all that, though, people like to tell me when it comes to Swift coin, why am I still thinking about the idea of maybe 50 cents? Well, it's because at that point, market cap, considering current circulating supply, would be 5 billion. And it'd actually be 5 billion exactly because the current circulating supply of Swift coin is actually exactly 10 billion, which I find pretty interesting. But even besides that point, it's just very simple, right? Whereas other projects out there, it's like 8.98 something billion or something like that. But again, it doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but I just want to mention it real quick. But if I take a look at the idea of like 5 billion, we've seen XRP not too long ago reach a market cap of around 200 billion. If let's say we take a look at out of 200 billion, 5 billion is literally 2.5% of that, which, doesn't mean it'll ever reach that hypothetically. Who knows? Only time will tell, but it's just still something I'm thinking about because the market cap just doesn't seem that maybe ridiculous to me. But only time will tell because ultimately, I like the fundamentals of Swift coin. And when it comes to Swift coin, it is powering the Swift blockchain and AI services. Like, for instance, we take a look at Swift GPT. I get it when it comes to Swift coin. I don't think it's going to be the most popular project out there of all time, but I still like the, AI aspect side of things. The AI market is expected to be worth nearly $2 trillion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. So that's pretty massive. I still believe in that. And again, I don't think SwiftCoin is going to even be the biggest project in that sector in and of itself. But, I don't mind though, because if let's say I just take a look at the idea of 50 cents, again, around a 58x from here, like even if let's say we have that, so it's like 25 cents, let's say, right? So let's say around 58x, again, to go to 50 cents, we have that 25 cents, around 29x, give or take from here. But even besides that, if I take a look at even that idea. Do I think XLM is going to do that maybe in the next 5 months? Like around a 29x? Market cap is already over 10 billion, keep in mind. And don't get me wrong, I still believe in XLM, by the way. But, just the market cap is pretty massive. It's a testament to how well it did, historically speaking. But something already doing very well, historically speaking, I don't know why it would benefit me right now in the grand scheme of things if it's already so massive. I'm not saying XLM is like that though, because I still believe in it, but I'm saying if a project is just too massive, in that context, right, how would that really make me excited? Like, for instance, if I take a look at something like Ethereum or something like Bitcoin, if Bitcoin went to 300 grand, that's less than a 3x from here. If Ethereum went to 10 grand, that's also less than a 3x from here. If I'm just getting in right now, look, I'm not telling you to do anything, by the way, but it's just not something that would really interest me, but this is just my perspective. Now, when I take a look at SwiftCoin, people like to say, oh, why would you really care about this project? Well, it's because when I take a look at it, it is somewhat focused on the payments and global trading finance market. So the way you take a look at it is that it's kind of like a miniature version of Stellar a little bit, but with an AI aspect, right? Or something that I really think about when it comes to this. So I do kind of find that pretty interesting. I mean, if I take a look at even just the market leaders within the space of payments and global trading finance, of course there's Ripple and there's Stellar, right? But then if we take a look at XRP and XLM, market cap is really massive, and I don't think any of the kind of alternatives beyond that could overtake it during this cycle. So I'm just going to talk about, the competitors when it comes to SwiftCoin if I remove Stellar and Ripple. Now let me, talk about what I mean by this, right? Of course there's SwiftCoin, when it comes to these projects that are focused on payments and global trading finance, but there's also XDC, which I actually think is the most popular alternative out there because the market cap is pretty big. Right, it's over $1 billion, but besides that, there's ZBCN, or should I say ZEBIC, there's Onyx, or should I say XCN, and there is something called XPR. Now, if we take a look at that, amount of competitors, right? That's not 20, 30, or 40. They're that famous. It's just pretty much 4 other than SWFTCOIN within its own specific sector, or should I say niche, if you remove the 2 market leaders against Stellar and Ripple, or should I say XLM and XRP. That's actually not that many, so I just find that pretty interesting how, again, it actually doesn't have that many competitors. So I still like SWFTCOIN in that regard, but, ultimately, when it comes to this, I'm just staying patient because that's pretty much all I can do. I get it. SWFTCOIN, pretty big pullback. Price isn't necessarily doing the best. Totally aware of that, but I don't think I've seen an altcoin season during this cycle, and not too long ago, I saw SWFTCOIN do pretty okay. Sure, it didn't become like a really big project, but it was still a pretty good rally nonetheless, and I don't think, again, that was an altcoin season. I don't think that, right? I do not have this idea that, that was an altcoin season. No, I just thought that was a pretty okay moment in time when altcoins had a pretty brief, moment of like brilliance, I would say, but it wasn't like anywhere even close of like a 2021 type of altcoin season, at least the vibe to me. So I'm just staying patient. And right now there's supposedly over 600 million crypto owners, which is supposedly more than ever before in history. So I find that pretty interesting. I'm just staying patient currently, just holding and just waiting. I'm just waiting for a moment in time as opposed to trying to find the perfect moment. And that's pretty much about it. What I like about SWFTCOIN is that the community seems very passionate. Now, again, there's way bigger projects out there. I'm totally aware of that, but I just like the whole vibe overall, and I haven't given up because when it comes to this project, I don't feel like it gave up either. Some other projects out there, I feel like they kind of gave up a little bit, which I find pretty odd in some cases because I feel like these developers that are making these type of projects, I'm pretty sure they know that when it comes to just, altcoins or the space overall, it's going to have these ups and downs. It's not just going to be this time where it just goes up like that, right? So if they kind of know that, why would they give up? I just kind of feel like if they know that there's going to be ups and downs, why give up again? I just don't get it. This is the way I take a look at it. I just like the drive when it comes to SWFTCOIN as a project. I haven't given up and just staying patient because I treat it like a marathon. It's not a sprint to me. So whenever, let's say hypothetically, there's that next leg up, I just want to be prepared. And that's pretty much about it. But at the end of the day, I like the simplicity of SWFTCOIN as a project. I like the community, and I like the presence. Sure, it's not the most popular out there, but you know what? I'm just staying patient and just holding, and that's pretty much about it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.